Okay, so welcome to the November meeting for the Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board. We'll open with a karakia timatanga, mā te whakapono, mā te tūmanako, mā te tiro, mā te whakarongo, mā te mahitahi, mā te whakamomori, mā te aroha, ka taia e mātou. And that translates by believing and trusting, by having faith and hope, by looking and searching, by listening and hearing, by working and striving together, by sheer desire and determination, by all being done with compassion, we will succeed. Okie dokie. So first up, we have apologies, but I'm pretty sure we're all here, unless I can't count, which that's always on the cards. Item 2 is disclosure of members' interests. So have we got any items on tonight's agenda that anyone needs to disclose or has any concerns? No, all good. We can tick that box. We don't have any late items today that I know of. No, we're all good for that. We do just need to change the order of the meeting. So as long as everybody's happy with that, can I please move that the order of the meeting be confirmed subject to taking item 6 before item 5? So I want someone to move that. Kane, seconder. Had a mental block, Sally. You see, I can count, but I can't remember names tonight. All in favour? Against? Carried. I just had a complete dead spot. I'm like, it's good. Oh, no, right. Okay, so next up is item 3, which is our public forum. So can I please welcome Nick Cantlin to come and have a wee chat with us. Nick, if you would like to take the seat up the top there. And please push the wee button so then what you're saying will go on the live stream. So you'll just see on the microphone there's a button there. If you can just give it a push. Like mine. Right. That's it. You're set to go.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair and board members, for letting me speak to you tonight. I want to talk about the recent changes to the dog bylaw that affects people who want to take their dogs up Mount Kakapuka. Should say at the outset that I don't have a dog, so it doesn't really affect me other than the fact that I walk up there. So I didn't take too much notice when the bylaw was advertised for change, because as I say, it didn't really affect me, but I have noted on my walks up Kakapuka, which perhaps aren't as frequent as I would like, that I often see people with dogs running loose and in contravention of the existing or the previous version of the bylaw, and in complete disregard for the docks restriction or no dogs at all near the summit. I have to say that there was nothing wrong with the old bylaw in my view, but people didn't comply with it. They chose to ignore it for whatever reason or pretend they didn't know about it. And I guess people saw that some people were up there with their dogs and no one seemed to give a damn. So they thought, well, I might as well take my own up there too. And it's been like that for years, as far as I know. And no one seems to worry about it. So people just do what they want. And that won't change because you change the bylaw. People will still do what they want. And so you've got to do something different. Changing the law won't do anything. It's a classic case of having a solution before you've defined the problem. So the problem is people, and you haven't told them what the rules are. Well, you've put a little sign up, but that's about it. So in my view, if you're really serious about it, you've got to have a public education program, you've got to have some enforcement, which might be a ranger sitting at the car park and turning people away if they've got a dog, or saying, here, I'll lock your dog up here, you can pick it up on your way back. And if you don't pick it up, it'll be impounded. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but let's start with the education first. So that's really all I have to say about it, other than say, you know, if you are serious about it, you need to do something different than just passing a bylaw. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, any questions?
No. What's our, probably not to you, Nick, but what's our capacity? I guess I'm asking Joe, I suppose, or whoever. What's our capacity to have that sort of person out there, do we have that ability? And I guess who can I speak to about that, I suppose, or Carl, maybe?
I think
Carl, you're welcome if you are comfortable to comment. I'm happy for you to comment because you know what the enforcement resource would be if you are comfortable to comment. If you don't feel it's appropriate, that's okay as well.
but we could always take it away as an action to come back.
Yeah.
I'm certainly happy to offer some comments. So I think for a start, the submitter perhaps needs to go back and have a look at the submissions that led to that change at Kakapuku. It's not about public complaints of dogs necessarily not complying with the existing bylaw. There were a number of justifications that council considered when that change was made. And I think I'd be fair in saying that it wasn't an easy decision for council to make. In terms of notifying people, every submitter will have been notified of the changes that were made to that policy and bylaw. And by law, every dog owner must be provided with a copy of the new policy and bylaw, as well as any other educational publicity or whatever may happen once those changes come into force on the 1st of December. And in terms of enforcement, it's like any area in the district. We don't have the resource to have someone standing on a street corner every day of the week looking for issues. We target our resourcing where the problem exists. If we're not getting the complaints directly to us, then we will not be targeting those areas. So we don't have a huge volume of complaints around Kakapuku. So it may not have been targeted as much as some areas that have had complaints. So that said, it's a new change. It's moved to prohibited. So we probably will be looking at enforcement in the near future.
Thanks, Carl. Just roughly how many complaints would you need to see on that and to take some form of action?
It's all relative, I guess. It's hard to say how popular that area is compared to any of the other areas. And I think for me, the change is that it's not like it's gone from an off-lead area to dog prohibited. It's moved from dog on leash to dog prohibited. And we also have to bear in mind the Department of Conservation's role in their part that they play as well. So we'll be looking at it anyway, but any complaints are useful, particularly if they've got enough evidence for us to follow through as well, because we can't be there all the time. But if we get descriptions of dogs or cars or names or whatever, then we can chase those up.
Okay, thanks, Carl. Has anyone else got any questions for Nick? No, I just had a quick one, Nick. When you said you're not up there as often, I just wondered how often is that now, like once a week or sort of like only roughly, sort of to get an idea of...
Well, nowhere near as often as I would like, but probably only once every few months. But I mean, it doesn't personally affect me. I just thought that if you're going to change the bylaw, you need to do something more than just, if you're serious about it. Okay. Thank you.
No, that's great. Thank you.
Thank
it's
you
good to bring that awareness.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you. Okay. Right. So that's our public forum done and dusted. So item 4 is confirmation of the previous minutes. So can I have someone to move that the Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board confirms the minutes of the meeting held on the 25th of October 2023 as circulated with the agenda as a true and correct record of proceedings? Jill and John. Jill to move, John to second. All in favour? Against? Carried.
Can I abstain since I wasn't there?
Well, you don't need to. That's all good. Because that's right, you can't say whether they were true and correct. But you can support the others that they were true and correct. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so now we move to item 6, which is the report arts policy - public art acquisition. So that reference is on page 86 to 128, and we welcome Anne Blythe, and Gina's obviously here in support. So thank you, ladies. It's all yours. We will take your report as read. So we'll go from there. Thank you.
Sorry, the magic button.
So kia ora koutou. I'm Ian Blythe, the Director of Museums and Heritage, and Gina, who you probably all know, is here with me. So the purpose of this report is to provide information regarding a proposal for public art installation at Awamutu's Centennial Park skate park, in accordance with the Waipa District Council arts policy. So the skate park was opened in September 2022, and the proposal is to paint 8 murals on the walls of various skate features located within the park. So happy to take the report as read and answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, so Jill.
Thank you. I did read the report, Anne. I see that when the skate park was designed, there was in the budget money put aside for this. And my question would be, in these times when we're trying to watch our pennies, is I just wondered whether, you know, some of the art can actually be done by local artists at a free cost when it's designed and painted, rather than, you know, the huge expense that it could be happening. Yeah. If there's any possibility, you know, that the council buy the paints and you would oversee, you know, the designs, I'm sure, but it would just be really nice if the, you know, local people could do it for a local place.
You can jump in. I guess the artists have been chosen that whakapapa to the site, so Gina can probably talk a little bit more about that selection process. But as artists, they need to be paid for their work like anyone else. They need to earn a living. I don't think their prices are exorbitant in any way, but artists need to be paid for their work just the same as anyone else. I don't know if you've got anything.
I just know we have got local artists who would do it for nothing, and they're professional. Yeah.
And we can certainly take that feedback. The process, I guess, for us was because it was a site of significance to, for mana whenua, we chose to engage artists who were, you know, whakapapa back. So that's, they do whakapapa back to this area to be able to tell those local stories. So they have been engaging obviously with their whānau through the history of the site, and obviously done lots of research to get to where we are. So yeah, they are local.
No, thank you. I can understand that too. Yeah.
Has anyone else got, Sally?
Yeah, I have spoken to a person that you consulted when you built the skate park, which was, you know, amazing. And it's interesting that if you were to look after, you know, do something different in your own home, would you be a part of that consultation? So when we're looking at the cultural sensitivity, the sensitivity to people, if this is your home, yet you've gone back to mana whenua, but what about the skaters?
Yeah, we did talk about that, but the reality is with art, it's also open to interpretation, and everybody's perception of what is appropriate, what isn't, what is great, what isn't, is really, really different. And if we open that up to a community consultation, community engagement for feedback, we wouldn't, in my opinion, get anything over the line for a long time, because it would take so long to sort of settle on design.
Right, I appreciate that response. That's great. So with regards to the skater, because they're not typical, if you go to different skate parks, I mean, I don't go to skate parks terribly often other than checking out what's happening down here at our local one, and I know it's extremely well used, but it's not typical skate art. But that didn't offend this person. They sort of had a bit of a shock to start with, and then thought, wow, all in all, it's really cool. However, what they did comment was about the peka design, and it wasn't particularly favourable. Loved the background, but it didn't sort of gel with the rest of them, but was feeling like, you know, the story, understand the story, yeah, flying to the river and fly back with food sources and things. But could the peka be more discreet on the actual design? Could they be incorporated more subtly was the feedback from this particular skater, from a person who's home, skates often, skates regularly, understand that there's lots of people skating, understand that yes, there's interpretation, but from a person that's been very involved with the skate park, it's their home. Yeah, that was one response that they gave me on just that.
Yeah, well, look, we can take that feedback on board and take that back for consideration. But yeah.
Sally, did they say why they wanted the bats to be smaller? Just so that these guys have got a bit of rationale around why the bats being a bit bigger was a problem?
That was just their personal opinion, and it just, I mean, I find that particular design personally myself also, you look at it and they're just so striking. It's just such a strikingly different design to the others because it's sort of like they're in silhouette and they're really, really obvious.
Oh yeah, no, I just wondered if there was a rationale behind it. That's all. Good.
No rationale. Oh, probably because also doesn't like bats.
Fair enough. Has a bat phobia, maybe. Okay. Anyone else got any questions for Anne or Gina? Oh, Sally's got one more.
Yeah, notice the timing for the doing the project is school holidays. Is there any way around that?
I've been working with Terry, our health and safety person, what his title is, health and safety advisor, and he is happy that we will be able to manage that site really safely within that. We won't be closing the whole park. It'll be done in sections, and he is really comfortable with the ability that we have to be able to just sort of separate or keep each area separate as we go through.
But surely the school holidays is when it's going to be at mass, at the time when it's going to be used the most, absolutely the most. And here we are choosing to do the designs. I mean, I think it's great that people will be able to talk to the artist, maybe, or maybe not, because the artist will be focused on their job because they're getting paid. So I would have thought that, February, March would have been a more appropriate timing to do such a big undertaking.
Yeah, it's my understanding that, like I say, that we will be able to manage that. There was definitely consideration around having people around so that they could be learning about and engaging with the artists. And this is the time that works for our artists as well. They are employed and they have school holidays are available to them. So yeah, that was how we came up with that. So those things were definitely considered, but everybody is happy that health and safety requirements will be met. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Is there anything further from the boys down in the corner there? No, all good. All right. Thank you very much, Anne and Gina. So if we haven't got anything further, we can move. Yeah,
Hold on a minute. I've just noticed something else that was on the list. Concerns around tagging. So tagging is an issue, and I do know that, well, this person informed me that when people do their street art, then the taggers come along to spoil it. What are your thoughts around that one?
Yeah, so the general rule of thumb is that if something is got art on it, there is less likelihood of it being tagged. But look, we can never say never. That does happen, but it will be coated with a special stuff which makes it easy to remove tagging, and that's actually going on all of our art that goes up in the public now. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay, this time. So make sure I move the right one, seeing as we've swapped them around. Okay, so that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board received the report of Anne Blythe, Museums and Heritage Director, titled Arts Policy - Public Art Acquisition Centennial Park, And B, endorse the proposed public art as set out in Appendix 2 of this report for the 8 murals at Centennial Park. So can I have someone to move that, please? Bruce and Lou to second. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Thanks for giving up your time and coming in. Safe trip back home to Matamata. Anne, there's always a busy road down there at the moment, isn't it? That intersection's pretty crazy. So yeah, safe travels. Good to see you. Thank you. Okay, so now we will jump back to item 5, which was pages 14 to 85. And that's the report regarding the dangerous, affected and insanitary buildings consultation. So again, we have read your report, Carl, so save you having to go through every bit of it, but let's get some highlights and things. That would be great. Thank you. All yours.
Thank
So
you, Madam
welcome,
Chair.
Carl.
I can't take any credit for the report, but the policy is one of numerous, it seems, that are due for review and sit in my area. Certainly not the most used policy the council has, but again, it's one we're required to have, and as part of that requirement, we're required to review it. So that's this process. Consultation is open till the 19th of December for anyone who wants to consider making a submission. The high level overview is that we've had a policy for a significant period of time. This draft is not a significant departure from that policy. What we've sought to do is just provide a lot more guidance and clarification both to the public and to our staff on how this policy would be administered if we had cause to use it. The previous policy, to a large extent, was a cut and paste of the statutory requirements of the Act. Didn't really have much nuance around what that may mean, how it might be applied, and what process we would follow. So the policy is really just to get it up to speed and align it with more of our other policies that do provide that extra guidance. And so, yeah, that's probably the summary, and I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Okay, so do we have some questions? Sally?
I'll come up with a question. How often does this policy get used? You know, in the 5 years that it's, or annually perhaps?
Yeah, no, through the chair, seldom. To reach the bar of dangerous and insanitary is quite a high bar in the first place. And as the policy sort of alludes to, there are other regulatory frameworks that council can use, potentially depending on the scale of the issue and the risk. So a cleansing order under the Health Act, for example, might be a more straightforward method of dealing with a particular issue than following this policy. I was asked that question previously, and I think we'd used it twice in 4 years, maybe something along those lines.
Jill?
Basically, it's probably the same answer. So usually if there's a building or a food place that's inspected annually, and it doesn't, it could perhaps, if it doesn't comply, then it might have to go to that area. Yeah, council will always use whatever mechanism is most effective to achieve the outcome. So if it was an issue relating in the food space, then we would be using measures that generally sit under the Food Act or something along those lines. The definition of dangerous, affected and sanitary is really quite specific. Effectively, it's going to have to cause you injury through normal use of the building in order for this policy to apply anyway. If we felt there was a risk that didn't meet that threshold, we would use something else potentially. Yeah, so for example, if it was a food place and all the walls were damp and miserable, then this would come into play. We would probably use the Food Act mechanism. Yeah. Okay. So can you just tell me quickly with buildings that just a general building, not a food place, is that inspected every so often as a code of compliance, or more food places that are inspected regularly? Through the chair, any action under this policy is likely to be complaint driven. So we certainly do have premises where we have a legislative requirement to inspect, so food, alcohol, a range of camping grounds, hairdressers, a whole range of different things under different legislation. But a general building, such as a house that may have been built
10, 20 years ago. No, once the co-compliance certificate is issued, that is generally the end of council's involvement, unless there is, something else, an alteration or a complaint.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, have we got any, Bruce?
So Carl, taking that a bit further, say the owner of the building, or say whether it's dangerous or unsanitary, can't do what they are required to do, what happens then? Or can't afford it, maybe? What happens?
Yep, no, certainly valid concern. So the policy would generally outline giving the owner the opportunity to do that first, unless there was an immediate risk. And if there was an immediate risk, or the owner defaulted or was unable to, then there are actions that council could take themselves and then later recover costs, whether that be through a charge on the title or something along those lines. So at the end of the day, our objective would be to use whatever mechanism to get that building to a safe standard, whether that be us or the owner.
As I understand it, just reading the act right in front of me, we have the right to put a charge on the land. As I say, so if the owner cannot do it, council can actually remedy the situation and put a charge if the owner can't pay. It's actually on point 8.3, 8.1.
Okay, oh,
Sorry.
John's thought of something
Oh,
else.
sorry, Carl, does that include asbestos in a building? Or is that different again?
No, well, I guess potentially, no, it's probably different again. So asbestos is problematic at the best of times. There are specific regulations that relate to asbestos, but they are generally WorkSafe related. So controls around exposure levels and stuff like that. So a building is probably unlikely to be dangerous or unsanitary because it has asbestos. And asbestos that's in good condition is generally not regarded as a risk anyway. It's only if it's deteriorated and is likely to create fibres. So again, it would be about us choosing the best mechanism to manage that. That potentially could reach this threshold, but we might have other avenues that we could use.
Awesome. So if there are no further questions, we can move that and let Carl go home for dinner. So can we please move that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board A receives the report of Joe Greed, Manager of Governance, titled Dangerous, Affected and Insanitary Buildings Policy Consultation, and B, actually I need to stop because I needed to ask, would we like to make a submission? Sorry, I just need to discuss that before we move it. I suddenly remembered as I was ploughing through it, oops. So would we like to do a submission? We've got time to have a little bit of research and then have a discussion included in our meeting on Wednesday, December the 13th, so that we can actually have a agendaed discussion in regard to what our submission might be. Or would you prefer that based on what you've read, you think it looks pretty good, so you're quite happy just to let it go through and there's not really...
I have put a little bit in writing. I've said with the knowledge and understanding I have in the draft policy I have read appeals well thought out and a common sense approach. So a submission stating this and supporting the draft policy I feel is the way forward. However, open to discussion and other ideas because people might want to wait, but I sort of feel it is a very well thought out policy and it's only operated twice, is it in 4 years? So
yeah.
low profile.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's pretty low risk, so I would be happy not to make a submission and
Yep.
just leave it, let them.
I'm happy for the way it is, thank you.
Yep, councillors? Yep, okay. All right, so just reroute that then. So we're on no, we won't.
Yeah.
So we are going A, that we receive Joe's report, and then B, does not make a submission to the dangerous, affected and insanitary building policy consultation. So can I have someone to move that, please? Lou, second. Oh, maybe not Lou. Okay, so let's go John and Jill, because they're just there and it's easy. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you very much, Carl. Have a lovely rest of your evening, and thank you for answering the Kakapoku dog question for us too. It was quite good that you happened to be here. That's perfect. Thank you. Okay, so now we will move to item 7, which is my chair report. That's on pages 129 to 136. So there's a couple of things in here that I'd like to discuss. First up, though, I would like to just formally thank the Kihikihi Residents and Ratepayers Committee for their letter of thanks in regard to the funds from the discretionary allocation that we gave them, so that there will be some pahutakawas going up shortly, I expect, out in the village to start to celebrate Christmas, and of course more poppies to put around at Anzac time. So it'd be lovely to see those. So did I?
Talked to Ross last night at that meeting last
Oh,
night.
yep. No, I
And they've
didn't
actually
catch up with
purchased the
them.
material and they're painting it right now.
Oh,
And
neat.
they'll be all going up on the first week in December.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought they'd be pretty soon. Yeah, they're usually pretty sharp. So that's all really good. So I would like to have a bit of a discussion around Jill's idea for the adult youth exercise equipment. You would have read what I've put in, and Jill might like to give you a little bit more detail around that, because I would like to make a recommendation to support her if everybody else is in support of that. So Jill, if you want to have a little chat about
No,
what
thank
you're
you,
up
Ange.
to.
You'll see in the third paragraph, I've said there's some examples of the parks that could go on, and that's all I was using. We've got several parks, and so it was only an example, because I see the reply from Brad has said, you know, some of those places aren't available, but that's fine, because it was only an example. So just to start the ball rolling. So on Brad, I had talked about it before it got to this stage, and he was quite keen, but he said he wanted me to talk to Angela, who's the assets manager. So I had an appointment booked with her at 3 o'clock on Tuesday, but unfortunately at 1 o'clock I got an email to say it had to be cancelled. She had an emergency in her family. So I was wanting to sort of touch base with her, which Brad suggested, so that, you know, I'm not quite sure exactly what she does. So, I mean, she does the assets. So I guess I was explaining where the funding would be coming from and how much the funding would be. And from there, it would be, so where the funding's coming from, they are happy to pay for the fitness equipment and for the installation of it as well. So I first started off by talking with the youth, which is part of my portfolio. And I actually did approach Rotary, who are still getting back to me, but I've got another funding place as well, looking at the fitness park in Cambridge, which is my first idea. And I'd shown photos to some of the youth and they thought it was a great idea. But then when the new park opened in North Cambridge on the 5th of October, on the 6th, I was over there having a look and saw that they've got just three fitness equipment in the park for teens and adults, and that was working really well. So with the amount of, you know, I won't be till I actually get the full amount of the funding and how much the equipment's going to cost, which I'll do with Angela and Assets. And we will talk about that as a start off to know, you know, and then to talk to Brad about what parks they could go in. So it could be, you know, some parks might have space for 2, some parks might have space for 1. But it was really just to get things started. So funding's not a problem, getting the equipment's no problem. It's just working with council, getting the assets fine and getting the places available. So yes, I realise some parks won't have a space and some will have. But it's just, as I say, my portfolio is the youth, and a lot of the parks, 9 out of 10 are for up to 10 to 12-year-olds and not for anyone any older. So just really nice to be able to have something like this that's not going to cost the council the money. And the items are very, very, very low maintenance, you know, so yeah. Any questions?
Anyone got any questions, any suggestions? What do you think of the idea?
No,
Sounds really
I
positive.
think it's a good idea. It's fantastic. But I'd go for one before two, yet do something properly. But I don't know, you don't know the cost yet, do you?
No, it has, yeah, we've got some costings and just working out exactly how much we're getting, how many, so I would say we'll probably get about 6 items. Yeah.
So just say a few words. I've seen lots of these in Europe and worked and played on them, and also in Vietnam and in Malaya. So yeah, they're quite commonplace. The big thing is they always make a separation from the children's side. They always sort of take it a little bit away, so it's not integrated with the swings and so seesaws and all the rest. It's not right in the
I
middle.
know, but
And
the North Cambridge one is right in the middle.
Yeah.
But I totally agree. It should just be on the outer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the only thing I'd
Yes,
make, 'cause
thank you.
they did
Yeah.
that separation normally.
Yeah.
As I say, and having fun would be very positive.
Jill, at one stage there was some talk about putting some like fitness equipment along the Pioneer Walk. So whether that's worth mentioning to Brad,
Oh, definitely.
or if it's an idea. But are you able to give us a rough idea of sort of like how much a piece of equipment's likely to be? I'm just sort of a curiosity thing.
Yes, so one piece can be about 12,000.
Wow.
But there's 2 different companies. So one company, but you've got to remember these are solid and they're going to last forever. You can't break them.
Well, I'm going to beg to differ on that because I've seen some broken in Hamilton.
No. So the ones in the North Cambridge Park are the more expensive ones but I can't see how they can get broken. But some of the ones in the fitness park in Cambridge that are about 3,000 each, they do need a bit of maintenance. So you've just got to work on that with the asset manager to see what she thinks.
Cool. No, that sounds great. Yeah, no, there are some over at the Rotatuna Park, and I sat and had to play on them for ages. It's quite fun, but they did have a broken pedal, I think, for memory, that the actual bit you stood on had come off. So that was my other bit about curiosity about, the durability of them, and obviously that'll be a council one. So no, look, awesome work. Thank you. And a really neat little project that hopefully will come to fruition if we can find some places where it's agreed that they can go. So has anyone got any other questions or comments about the project? No? Kane, were you wanting to say something before I changed my mind? Got answered. No, all good? All right, well, I'd like to move that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board nominate board member Taylor to work with the community services staff to understand fitness equipment and costs and opportunities. So if everybody's happy with that motion, if I could have someone to second that. John, all in favour? Against? Carried. So Jill, keep up the good work and we look forward to getting an update when you've got some, hopefully you might even have something again by the 13th of December. And we'll keep tabs on how you're going and if we can offer any help and support. Oh no, normally I just I just do it last year. I'm just doing these as I go through. So don't need to worry too much about the park playground. That's just there was a response there. The men's shed. So at our last meeting, you'll recall that we discussed about the board for the library. So in an informal capacity. So I just wanted to come back to that and make sure, are we all in support of agreeing to that? In which case it would be really nice to move a motion to show our support formalised. So is there any?
Can I speak to that, please?
Yes, please.
So I've been to this week to talk to Cherie, who's the manager, retiring manager at the library. And she's really quite excited about it happening. And she said when she retires, if it's not up, the person who's doing her job for a little while is, really in favour. She explained to me when you walk into the library, on the left, there's a wall there and it will actually be placed on the wall. She's actually taken a photo of a very similar one that's in Tikawiti.
Oh, nice.
Tikawiti have got it above a bookshelf on the wall there and they've got it painted gold, whereas the one sorry, you can pass it around. The one that we're having will be all in natural wood, and then gold printing.
Oh, yeah.
So the gold printing will be able to be, so when it's up on the wall, which is quite high, so little fingers can't touch it, the gold print will, you can actually place it up there and not have to remove it every time a new author's put on there. And she explained that they will be quite well known Waipa authors. It won't be a person who's just written a book or a pamphlet, so but very happy to have that there, and they're quite excited about it. Yeah.
Good to know. Yeah. Well, that's really neat. So, and it was a lovely thank you from the men's shed as well for them to offer to do that. So it's really neat.
So just to clarify, there's no cost, is there? The
No,
men's shed are gonna do it?
no, the men's shed are doing it. It was just that we supported it being placed in the library and being used to acknowledge our local authors. So all good. Okay, so I'm happy to move that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board support the idea of an Authors Honours Board to be provided by the men's shed and housed to the Te Awamutu Library. So can I have someone to second that? Jill? All in favour? Against? Carried. Lovely. So we had some, I just added in some still following up, but you can see that we've had responses from staff in regard to where we're at with those, which is great. So thank you very much to staff members who have got back to us on that. That's
Can I just add
appreciated.
on to that? So,
yes.
So Brad has come back and said that the heritage signs will be ready to us by February or March. Can we just make a note of that in the minutes,
Oh, yep.
please?
So, it's actually, isn't it in there? Wasn't there something about the heritage? There was a comment on something that you sent me.
They,
Joe.
it was a separate email.
There was already a staff comment in the staff response saying, complete, they're finalising the update to the community board and staff hope to present to the board on this in the new year.
Yep, so I just wanted to clarify on a date in there. Brad said February, March. Just want that in the minutes.
Okay, so he's updated that obviously and given us a timeline. So if we are able to do that. And just that's gone off, not to where I want to be. Sorry, it just jumped out of there and jumped back. Homes Garage. So I've been busy working with Steve Tritt and Shane. And I have today, I'm sorry I hadn't got it out to you sooner. I had meant to and it just slipped past and I didn't get it out, but you will all now have received a report that Steve put together for us to go to the Corporate and Finance Committee. And I've just given you an updated image of what's being proposed. Just so you know, the move away from the original Art Deco facade was to create a much more open look, sort of like a building that you could look through to the park rather than blocking it off. And we've mirrored that meeting house look as part of the acknowledgement to Ngāti Apakura, because that land was originally theirs. So the repurposing of that building has, that's where we've gone with that. And on the unfortunate side, it looks amazing, but it does mean it's going to cost a little bit more, but it's still looking very cost effective at this point in time. So we're pretty pleased, and a huge thank you to Steve. The report that he's done is really comprehensive, and I hope that it can provide like a really good reflection of how the community feels about having a space like this for us to use. So that's just the update on that. What else did I have on here? We had 2 sessions with Stephen Findlay, and I will be meeting with him again next week for him to go over his recommendations. So you guys were all involved with the first one, and then we had a second one with staff and some councillors, some of the councillors. Kane and I were able to attend that, where Stephen went through a few of the points that we'd raised, and we just discussed some options around how we can address some of those. So one of the suggestions is that community board and councillors get together for a bit of an informal discussion, and we look at our strategic plan and how that can fit in with what council's doing. And that's looking like it'll happen in the new year. So we look forward to engaging and sort of building that network and relationships there. So I think that was all there that I needed to talk to in regard to the homes. Oh, sorry, one more part in regard to the homes garage. I've also been contacted by Oren Kapua, who is the new chair of the Ngāti Apakura Runanga Trust. He'd like to meet with me and just discuss how the homes garage project may impact, or how we can work in with them. So I'm looking forward to catching up and meeting Oren, hopefully before it goes to the Finance Committee workshop, sorry, not workshop, Finance and Corporate meeting on the 5th. Have I got that right? It was initially proposed for the 28th, but I understand it's been moved to the 5th of December. Hopefully someone will officially let me know that not too far away, with a bit of luck, to make sure, so that we can be there to present and organise our diaries to be there. Okay, so if there's nothing in questions or anything further in regard to my chair report, I will move. Yes?
I'll just there'll be one channel to the bridge that will be designation. Kiwi bridge contact.
Cool. It'll be nice to see those up, won't it? Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Lou. Righto, so I will move that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board receives a report. Oh no, I won't move this one, sorry. Can I have someone to move that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board receive the report of Angela Holt, Chairperson, Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board, titled Community Board November 2023 Chair Report, and B, receives the staff response to the Chairperson's report. Jill, someone to second that, please? Kane, thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. And we did the honours board separately. Okay, so now we move to item 8, our Treasury report, which is on page 137 to 139. Have we got any comments or anything in regard to that? Please.
Are we able to
Okay.
remove the items that have had committed and then expenditure next to them in the prior year commitments? Is there any reason to keep those? For example, Te Awamutu Rugby Sports. There's no balance on them. We should just have 2 items, the replacement flags. I thought we moved the replacement flags as well.
And we've already got them, so. Do we not spend as much? Is that why it's
We
still
can have a
sitting
look back
there?
at the accounts for next time to tidy that
So in
up.
theory, we should just have the Rangiawhia Historic Trust, right?
Yeah, because those have all gone out, so
It's not
cheering
spending
sheets just sitting there with a nil balance. Zip, zip, zip.
so
Yeah, actually could do with a tidy up. So can we just ask, we don't need to move or anything for that. So if we can just pass on through you, if we could do that, does that sound all right? Okay, anything else in regard to our report? Looks all pretty self-explanatory. We've got the princely sum of what, $7,487. Hang on, all right. No, 11,000 was it? 11,452. So not a lot left over. All right. Okay, so let's move that. Can I have someone to move that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board receives the report of Nader Milne, financial accountant, titled Treasury Report for the period ended 31st of October 2023. Jill, Kane, to second. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Lovely jubbly. Item 9, board members' reports from meetings attended. So have we got anything that people have been to or any updates in addition to what we've already discussed?
Yeah, so the community board review, PCG committee and the PCG risk committee. So that was, yeah, it's pretty interesting in terms of building of relationships, I suppose, is the key around that. But that was the main thrust this month.
The community board discussion with Dr. Finley, Mr. Stay, Lane of the Wreath, which was a very, yeah, it was an amazing event. It was well done. Thanks, Lou, for all your input and your team. Red Remembrance Day was on the 15th, which was organised by New Zealand Doctors Speaking Out on Science for the mandated and the vax injured, and celebrating Waipa event last night.
You've been busy. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Jill, have you got anything further? You've had a little holiday, so that's good.
I have had a holiday, but I've been very busy with the Operation Christmas Hamper too, so that's been.
And that's coming along all right?
It really is. It's amazing how in these times that people find a little bit of money to, well, you know, we're doing quite well. Yeah, so we've got another, I've organised a sausage sizzle at Fresh Choice on Saturday from 10 till 2, if everyone feels like a sausage. But it's just great to get out there in the community to be able to do these things.
No, it's a great effort that those guys all put in, so hopefully it all goes well. John, have you got anything to add there?
Just spent another week at the Alpha,
Oh, yeah, good.
doing bits and pieces. I'm one up on Mr. Brown. I've had my photo with the member of King Country
Barbara Kuriger.
today for the optic, for probably the second or third time I've had a photo with her. So she came through to have a look with because I told Maggie this yesterday that Terry and I were there, so I come around 9:30 and yeah, Barbara turned up at 10 o'clock. We're shown through the building and all the rest of it. So yeah, we're getting there very quietly. We're just waiting for Bill to come back and then decide we've got some more fun so we can rip the floor up and go from there.
Oh, great.
They just need to get in, gyp stop stuff and then paint where the kitchen is and that old restaurant, then they can start utilising and use it for functions and things. So,
Oh, good.
yeah, it's
Great.
slow progress.
Excellent. Well done. Thank you.
You know, 2 to 3 hours a day. Yeah.
Yeah. No, nice. Nice. Lou, so you gave us the update on the bridges, so that's already done. That's a good question. Do we want to do something for the parade? We could, it will be the December. Yes.
So we don't have to have an actual float, but we could be wearing our vests. And are we allowed to hand out?
No, you're not allowed to
That's
hand out
covered?
anything.
No?
No, because
No.
it's a health and safety thing.
Some towns do, but they're just probably the little country towns, but yeah. Not even a lollipop.
Nope, definitely,
Oh.
definitely not lollies. So it's the 3rd of December. do we know what time it starts? 1 o'clock, doesn't it? Does that sound right? It's earlier, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Yep. What do we think? I mean, yep. Well, would we like to offer our, or whoever can help? I'll do an email and just if yeah, or unless even, you know, like if I can have an idea of who can help, so that then I know numbers and I can send the Rotary an email and just say, we've got this many people that are happy to come along. We'll wear our community board vests and help. You can give us some jobs, so you've got some extra helpers. Okay, so I've definitely got Sally, Jill, John. Oh, you're away. Oh, Lou? Bruce? Can't, yep. So definitely got Kane. I can probably do it. I can't see why not. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Only drag the kids around with you. Yeah. Okay, so I'll cover that. That's all good. You lovely gentleman down the end, got any updates for us from anything from council or anything that's
same night as we have.
oh, is it? Oh, yeah.
So I've asked a little bit.
Okay.
I think it's worth
Mm-hmm.
at the moment, it's still,
Oh, okay.
So we might go on next year.
Yeah. So, but but on from there, is there anything that has come up in council that would be as relevant? Thanks, Kate, as relevant for us to be aware of, or what? You've got no money.
Mind repeating? Yeah.
But the rest of it.
Okay.
So just one addition, I was also attending the Remembrance Day with Sally.
Yep.
With ratepayers affected by the mandates, vaccinated
Lou.
or
Thanks.
locked out of council facilities.
Oh, okay, thank you. Bit tricky. It might have been Jo on because her swiper wouldn't double swipe. Okay, so in addition to what I'd already mentioned in my report, I attended the council function last night, which was a very nice function and a beautiful night out at the Don Rowlands Centre. It always looks lovely when you get a great night and watching the rowers on the lake. Just wanted to acknowledge the Christmas trees that. Oh, yes. Yeah, true. Noticed that the Christmas trees that the kids have decorated, that the Awamutu Business Chamber and retailers had come to us looking for funding. Those Christmas trees that they had come through with are starting to pop up around town. So just to mention there. I caught up with Lisa Nan today in regard to some ideas for the community board, and I just wanted to bounce this one off you. So instead of me doing a regular chair report, She has suggested that we do a more of an action list format with the item that we've either moved or that we're wanting follow-up from. Staff can have a response there, and that would be an agendaed item on our agenda each meeting, so that we can officially go through that, and if there's anything that we need clarification or further discussion, it's all there to remind us, and then we can follow that up in that manner. So then my report would be used for, say, new ideas, like, for example, what Jill's proposing, or for our actual strategic plan items that we want to bring into the agenda and discuss formally. So just wanting a bit of feedback around that and what you think is for that as an idea.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea. Yep, definitely do that.
So then the community know a little bit more about what we're doing, and if they want to come along as a public forum and talk about it, they can, can't they?
Yep. Anyone else got any thoughts, pros or cons with that one?
My thoughts on the pros is that they actually see your report, the report is available in the agenda, so we see it anyway, whereas this is something fresh, new, and it could generate the engagement of our communities.
Yeah, that's a valid point. And I'm expecting from just sort of the brief discussion, like we didn't get too much into how it would look, but that it would be laid out in such a way that it's nice and easy to follow and compartmentalised, I suppose, to make it easy that, oh, I'm interested in that, oh, that's what's going on, and that's where we're up to. And it also helps us because, you often find that there's things back there, or you've got to find the information that, like what Kieran's done a list, but this just keeps it all concise and together. So I was quite excited about that. So that's great that you are all supportive. So I'll get back to her and say, yep, we're really keen to do that. So we'll sort of take that up with Joe and Lisa. And
how does
get
that affect
ball
you
rolling.
for time?
Well, it helps me immensely with time.
Great.
So yeah, instead of throwing something at these guys, like that they're then running around to panic to answer or to respond to, that hopefully will alleviate that as well. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping at least. So yeah, so that's a good positive. She also mentioned that there are a couple of things coming up, like if the fitness project gets off the ground, that would be a great story. And one of the main things is that she's happy to pick up on anything that we're doing. So please keep in mind, if you are at an event and got our community board vests on and stuff, that we get some pictures and we can send them through to Lisa, and she's happy to promote that through the channels to just give us a little bit more acknowledgement. But there's a bit more to come. So I thought that was a really good, really nice first step, and great that you guys are keen to do that too. So that's that. And then just the one other thing I wanted to touch on is we've had a few ideas come through. So of course there was the fitness idea. Sally, you had quite a neat idea the other day in regard to the rubbish.
It's in insemination stages. It's got 9 months to develop.
Okay. But I was just thinking that but if board members could develop their idea a little bit more, using that one as an example, that could be part of the chair report. So that's those new ideas, and then that's a place to get them onto our agenda and be able to get them discussed and see what other supports available. So sometimes it looks like I'm not following through with ideas, but I also wanted to remind us that I do love these new ideas. However, we also have our strategic plan, which were the things that we need to focus on. So if they're a little idea that we can tick along with on side, but we do need to keep remembering that we need to refer back to our strategic plan because that's what we all agreed we wanted to achieve.
I
in
thought our
this term.
strategic plan was going to be in this every month. Was that not?
That's a good question. We were going to, I think we did talk about possibly
Just so that it's
putting
there,
it
you know what I mean? It's
there, yes. Are we able to do that, Joe? That it can be, like we've got that front, who are we? Can we have our strategic plan be a part of our agenda? But just,
Okay, do you want it in that forward bit, just
Well, we
sitting
could-
there, or do you
yeah.
want it at the back, so not kind of an agenda item, but
No, not-
but kind
yeah.
of visual in the agenda? Is that
mm.
what you're thinking? Yeah, cool.
Yes.
I'm thinking,
Yeah.
yeah.
that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I might try and pick out some things that maybe we can put in and try and get into the chair report, for example, that to bring them up top of mind so that we can progress some things as well. That could be quite a good way to get some balls rolling on our strategic plan. So that's me in regard to things I've attended and covering off people's ideas. So if there's nothing further there, we move on to item 10. There wasn't anything further, was there, before I cut anyone off? So item 10, the date of our next meeting. So that will be on Wednesday, the 13th of December at 6 p.m. And if there is nothing further, we get to close at. Oh yeah, I better do that first. Sorry, thank you. I was going to do it the other way round, say that we close at this and then finally close with the karakia. But I'm supposed to do the karakia before I say the meeting's closed. So karakia whakamutanga, karakia whakamutanga. Kua mutu a mātou mahi, mō tēnei wā, mana kitia, mai mātou. Katoa, mātou katoa. O mātou hoa, o mātou whānau, aio ki te aorangi. Our work has finished for the time being. Protect us all, our friends, our family, and peace to the universe. And now we can close the meeting at